Some stories crawl out of the grave. Others are buried beneath ice and silence. From the bone-dry heart of the Australian outback to the snow-blind trails of Siberia, terror doesn't knock. It waits. Here, we tell the tales that stay with you long after the fire's gone out. Zombies, vanished hikers, unsolved deaths, end-of-the-world whispers that echo through time. This is Aussie After Dark, the place where the line between fact and fear disappears. So light a candle, lock the doors, and don't blink. Because the story you're about to hear might just be true. The scent inside the M113 was oil, sweat, and steel, metallic and close. The kind of smell that lived in the seams of the uniform, that clung to skin and kit and refused to let go. It wasn't fear. Not yet. Just tension, old and silent, passed between boots and buckles, between glances and throat clears, in a space too tight for words. 30 of us were rolling south in armored rhythm, the convoy growling over cracked asphalt and half-forgotten roads. I sat in the gut of one of 3 M113s, wedged between Private Ethan and Jess, knees knocking every time we hit a pothole. My med kit rested in my lap like a child. I kept checking it. Bandages, cerets, trauma shears, just in case. Outside, the world drifted past in fragments, houses with mail still in the boxes, children's toys in yards now overgrown, shop fronts with hand-painted signs, closed, God bless, don't come in. Above it all, smoke hung like a veil, not thick, not yet. Just there. My name's Private Ethan Cardwell, 22, combat medic, 5 platoon, Bravo company. We were the ones they sent in first, before the headlines changed, before the whispers turned into panic. Our orders were simple: assist with evacuations, help set up a forward operating base near Camp Juliet, and support civil authorities. Easy on paper. With me in the carrier were 9 others. 3rd section, our little band in the belly of steel. Corporal Darren Hargreaves, section commander, sat nearest the rear ramp. Quiet. Sharp-eyed. Wore authority like an old coat. Weathered, but tailored. Lance Corporal Mackenzie, Mac, our second. Blonde, loud, and fast with a joke. His laughter hit like gunfire, quick and startling, but never off beat when orders came down. Our riflemen were Vuksic, Harris, and Sion. Vuksic didn't speak much. He just looked, always cleaning his rifle, always ready. Harris was the opposite. Hummed old rock songs like we were on a school trip. Sion? Big man. Gentle voice. Prayed in Tongan every time we rolled out. And we let him. None of us were too proud for a little divine insurance. Jess, our grenadier, was mean in a way that made you feel safe. She called her launcher Betty. Talia, the radio operator, quiet and intense, tuned her gear like it was a violin. Malone, the machine gunner, broad and steady, treated her LSW like it was sacred. That was us. 10 bodies in armor. 10 soldiers in the early days of the end. The radio crackled. Unconfirmed infected sightings. Metro South Side. Echo Post reports. Looters. Maintain civilian distance. Safe zone setup underway at Springfield. Use route Bravo 3. No one said the word zombie. Not yet. It was still civil unrest. Still isolated incidents. Still manageable. The brass didn't want to panic, but even through the static, we could hear it. The edge in those voices. Like the calm before the storm had started to fray. Hargreaves raised a fist. The convoy slowed. We felt it. Tracks rumbling down, brakes whining. 2 quick knocks from Mac on the interior wall. Standard signal. Contact point ahead. Tatlia's voice filtered through the comm. Command confirms drop at Juliet, southern perimeter of Korparu District. Primary tasking: assist police and paramedics with organized evac. Secondary: recon housing blocks west of the mall. No hostiles confirmed. Out. The ramp hissed. Sunlight and street dust spilled in. We moved fast. The clearing we rolled into had been a rugby park once. Bleachers rusted, grass long gone. Graffiti clung to the public toilets like mold. The rest of 5th Platoon moved into a staggered formation. M113SS formed the perimeter. The Bushmaster, with its bulk and height, took center as HQ staging. Hiluxes offloaded wire barriers and crates of supplies. We hit the ground running. Jess, Vuksic, and I moved north to assist evac personnel from the Queensland Police. Families were gathering, some already loaded onto buses, some refusing to go. I helped an elderly woman with a busted knee climb a step too high. She called me love and gripped my hand like I was her grandson. Mac's fire team patrolled the adjacent blocks. No infected. Not yet. But a few civvies had that look, glassy-eyed, feverish. Some twitchy. One man, shirtless and sweating, tried to bite a paramedic when they strapped him down. He screamed about the worms in his skin until they sedated him. We logged it. Marked the block. By 1300 hours, Camp Juliet was operational. The evac site was live. 5 outbound buses, medical triage tents, and a mobile SATCOM unit. Malone set up overwatch atop a playground climbing frame. Tatlia strung cables like a spider weaving glass. It was working. People were getting out. But the sky was darkening, and not from rain. A whisper passed among the ranks. Quiet. Passed like smoke. Word that Red Bank Plaza had gone silent. That Ipswich General Hospital had been overrun. No confirmation, just that buzz. That sense that everything was about to tip. We kept working. That's what soldiers do. By dusk, we were gathered near the M113s, cleaning weapons, taping up rations. Sione handed out what was left of his muesli bars. Harris played Powderfinger again, just loud enough to hear the chords, not the lyrics. Across the evac camp, kids were crying. Somewhere behind the wire, someone vomited. I sat on an ammo crate, hands resting on my med kit. My heart didn't race. Not yet. But I kept looking west, because the smoke was thicker now. And something in me knew. Tomorrow wouldn't be like today. The sun rose over Camp Juliet like it didn't know any better. Soft gold spread through the smoke, catching on the edges of concertina wire and tent canopies, painting beauty over something too fragile to last. You could almost pretend it was a normal morning, if you ignored the distant sirens, the smell of bleach and blood, and the unspoken question in everyone's eyes: how long do we have? I stood near the triage tent, sleeves rolled up, eyes gritty with sleep. Overnight, the evac numbers had swelled. Families, students, elderly with nowhere else to go. Some came with bags, some with pets, some came with nothing but stories. A man from Dara said his neighbor had collapsed on the lawn, then got back up and started screaming in Mandarin, eyes glassy, mouth red with blood. A woman from East Brisbane claimed a busload of people had simply disappeared. One teenager said the TV stopped working, and her phone kept showing videos of people eating each other, before going black entirely. None of it was confirmed. All of it felt real. We'd heard gunfire to the west after midnight, maybe a kilometer off. A single burst, followed by silence. The police said it was likely looters. Hargreaves didn't buy that. Neither did I. Around 0700, we were pulled from rotation. Third section, our crew of 10, assembled behind the Hilux stack. Mac was chewing a protein bar like it owed him money. Hargreaves paced in front of us, clean as ever, despite the chaos. We've got a civvy block 4 blocks northwest, Corner of Pinehurst and Tarleton. Reports say evac was incomplete. Around 20 civilians unaccounted for. Intel? Mac asked, voice low. Hargreaves gave a small shake of the head. No visuals since yesterday. No drones up. Comms from the forward evac team cut out after 1830 hours. Command wants eyes on. Could be nothing, Malone said. Could be worse than nothing, Jess muttered. I checked my medkit again. Tourniquets, antiseptics, morphine, syringes, trauma shears on my belt. Everything sharp, everything where it belonged. I didn't know why I was nervous. We'd done recon a dozen times. But something about the quiet that morning, it itched behind the ribs. We rolled out in one of the Hiluxes and on foot, quiet profile. No lights. Streets were mostly empty now, save for burned-out bins and the odd car left sideways across intersections. No birds, just the buzz of flies. The houses on Pinehurst looked lived in, but wrong. Front doors open. Windows smashed from the inside. Clothes lines still hung with children's shirts fluttering like little ghosts. Sione was the first to say it. Something's wrong here. We found the first body slumped on the front step of a red brick unit. Male. Maybe 50. Blood pooled at the base of his neck. Looked like a bite wound. His eyes were open. Clouded. Dried blood along the gums. I checked for pulse. Nothing. Could be an animal, Vuksich said, glancing down. Dogs have gone feral. No tearing, I said. Wounds, surgical, like a human jawline. Mac crouched, inspecting the hands. No defensive wounds. We kept going. Inside one of the flats, we found a family of 4. Still breathing. They'd barricaded the bedroom with a bookshelf and a mattress. The father wouldn't come near us, even in uniform. She bit him, he kept whispering. I told him not to open the door. We took them back, called it in. But we kept going, block by block. It was Malone who heard the noise, 2 streets over. A dragging sound, like boots shuffling through gravel. We moved toward it, standard fire team wedge. Jess, high left. Mac and Hargreaves center. Me trailing, pulse in my throat. The sound led us to a back alley between 2 duplexes. Sunlight filtered through broken latticework. There was a girl there, early 20s, barefoot, nightgown soaked in something red and dry. She was standing, but only just. Arms limp at her sides. Head twitching, jerking like a puppet with bad strings. Her eyes were wrong. Dilated, yes, but hungry. There's no other word for it. Hargreaves stepped forward, rifle low. Miss, are you all right? She looked up and screamed, a sound like metal scraping on bone. Then she ran, straight at us. Hargreaves shouted, "Hold!" But she didn't stop. I saw her mouth wide open, teeth blood slick, red around the nose, foam thick in the corner of her lips. Mac fired first, 2 rounds to the chest. She dropped, but didn't stay down. She tried to rise again, hands clawing at the concrete. Sione rushed forward and kicked the weapon from her reach. Harris slammed her down with his knee. She gurgled, wet, rattling, and then she stopped. Dead. Again. The alley went quiet. I dropped to my knees beside her. No ID, no phone, just a hospital bracelet, snapped halfway around her wrist. Logan General. Discharged yesterday. No drugs in the kit explain this, I murmured. No disease I know makes people sprint into gunfire, Mac said. Hargreaves tapped his comm. Base Juliet, this is 3rd Section. We have confirmed civilian behavior consistent with infection protocol. Quarantine this sector. Repeat, quarantine Sector 7. The radio hissed. Tahlia's voice, thin through static. Acknowledged, 3rd Section. Quarantine team en route. Command escalating situation status. All patrols recalled to base. Out. We stayed in that alley for a long moment. No one talked. Not even Harris. We were the first to see it up close, the first to realize it wasn't just a rumor, the infection was real. And it had teeth. The call came in just past 0300. Talia, half asleep in her comms nest, sat bolt upright. Her voice crackled through the night air like a live wire. HQ dispatch, requesting immediate support. Civilian evacuation convoy stalled near Victoria Parade. Possible infected presence. Bravo, 5 platoon tasked for rapid response. Corporal Hargreaves was already moving. One glance at his expression told us everything. This wasn't a drill. This wasn't shadow play. This was real. Mount up, he barked. Boots thundered against the bitumen. Gear was grabbed in practiced silence. Within 5 minutes, we were rolling east. 3 M113s and a Bushmaster, cutting through the half-sleeping city like armored ghosts. The streets of Brisbane were no longer our own. We passed shuttered storefronts, overturned rubbish bins, abandoned prams, even an empty police car with its doors wide open and blood smudged along the windshield. Still, no bodies, no movement. The city held its breath. We approached the intersection of Victoria Parade and Balmain Street. That's when we saw the convoy. 3 civilian buses, 2 Hiluxes, and 1 flatbed ute, all parked haphazardly, like they'd slammed on brakes at once. They had. Something had come from the dark. A woman darted out from behind one of the buses, waving a fluorescent vest. Her face was streaked with soot and panic. Tahlia raised the mic. Civ leader identified. Sergeant. She's with fire and rescue. Says movement in the buildings. Screams. Scratching. They lost contact with 2 drivers who tried to check the upper floors. Hargreaves didn't hesitate. 3rd section dismount. Secure the perimeter. Caldwell, your eyes on for civvies and casualties. Harris, Vuxish, on me. Jess, you stay with the left flank. Sione, Talia, rear guard. Mac, take point. We moved in. The apartments were old, red brick monsters with rusted railings and shattered windows. Vuxish popped a flare. Red light flooded the hallway. Dust hung like ghosts in the air. The walls were clawed. Not scratched. Clawed. Mac raised a fist. Hold! From the stairwell above, a thud. Wet. Heavy. Then another. Then a hiss. Low, bubbling, like a chest full of fluid being squeezed. They came at us in a surge of limbs and rot. First one, naked from the waist up, eyes glazed, jaw slack, running like a linebacker. It hit Harris square in the chest. Harris went down, but rolled, jammed his boot in the thing's stomach, and fired up into its jaw. Brain sprayed the ceiling. The body fell in a boneless heap. Another burst from the stairwell. 2 more. These ones moved strange, limping, twitching, snarling. Jess barked, "Contact!" and launched a 40mm smoke grenade, not for cover, but confusion. The fog hit them like a wall. One stumbled. Sione dropped it with 3 clean taps to the chest. I stayed low, checking corners, adrenaline spiking. We'd trained for this. We'd run drills in CQB for urban clearance. But nothing prepares you for the smell, the rot, the meat, the copper. And nothing prepares you for how fast they are. Another burst. 3 infected this time, sprinting down the corridor. Malone stepped forward, eyes cold, LSW already spitting death. The rounds tore into flesh, bone, viscera, shredding them into walls and floorboards. Blood hit the ceiling like rainfall. Still, no casualties. Only bruises, cuts, near misses. Jess got tackled, but Sione was on it, booting the infected skull into the tiles. Talia took a swing with her rifle butt and cracked one's jaw sideways. Even I got a shot off, point blank into the chest of a thing that had tried to crawl under a door to reach a screaming boy. The evacuees were hiding in a laundry room, 15 of them, 4 kids, 2 elderly, the rest pale and wild-eyed. One man had a bite on his hand. I pulled out my kit, forced him to the floor. "Hold still, this'll sting." He passed out from the pain before I finished suturing. Outside, Hargreaves coordinated extraction. The buses had stalled because of panic. One of the drivers ran when he saw a woman biting her child, left the keys in the ignition, ran screaming into a side street. We found him half-eaten in a gutter. Still, we got the buses rolling again. By 0600, the convoy was back on the move, escorted by our second section. Our fire team stood in silence on the cracked concrete of Victoria Parade, watching them go. The sun was rising. The city was quiet again. Mac spoke softly. "This ain't gonna hold, boss." Hargreaves didn't answer. We mounted back into the APC. No one spoke for a while. Even Harris didn't hum.